Hey the troopers, quick intro here. So I don't talk about my love for Battlestar Galactica very much here on the channel, as it's not the subject matter, right? But I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that to be able to host this panel is a dream come true, okay? And I just wanted to say thank you to SpaceCon San Antonio and Ted from the Countdown City Geeks for allowing me this opportunity. So Ted knew that I was a huge fan and he threw my name in the hat, for this panel. And again, not exaggerating, dream come true. I mean, come on, Edward James Olmos, freaking legend, okay? So, without further ado, here it is, the Battlestar Galactica Reunion Panel at SpaceCon 2025, hosted by yours truly.
All right, so my name is Ted. I will be your host today for this amazing Battlestar Galactica Reunion Panel. Can you guys believe it's been over 2 decades since we saw the reimagined series? And I don't know about you, but it changed what a sci-fi show could be in my eyes. It was, it was dramatic. There was such humanity to it as well. An incredible show, to be sure, and that's why we're still talking about it today, right? So, with further ado, today we're going to have some of the heroes of the 12 colonies and, spoilers, sorry, as well. So, let's start welcoming to the stage today's guests. So we have Jamie Bamber. So welcome. We have James Callis. We have Grace Park, Tamoh Penikett, and Admiral Adama himself, Edward James Olmos. Let's give him a warm welcome. Welcome everybody. Go ahead, take a seat, take the mic. So we will be doing a few questions, and then we will be doing a little bit of fan questions, and we got a lot. So we're not gonna get through all of this, I'm sorry guys, but we do pick up a few of them. So, how's everybody doing? San Antonio treating you good?
Yeah.
Yes.
Us?
I
Oh
can't
yeah, we're
even
great.
believe you guys are out here. Doesn't anybody work? If we were going to do this tomorrow, I could see it happening, but today's Friday, guys.
Well, there you go. Hey, I don't mind.
I'm so happy that you're all here. rather than work.
Somehow we all made it.
Exactly. And I don't mind taking a slight pay cut this check, to be here today with this amazing panel. I'm just gonna throw that out there, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I want to start at the beginning, which means going back to the end. So, the miniseries, right? You guys are getting ready to film that epic "So Say We All" moment. Do you guys remember that, by the way? I mean, that moment has gone down in TV history in my eyes. But there is a story that Edward, right, put together a little pep talk for the main cast.
You know what? I'm old. So I was told that I actually gave the pep talk at the beginning of the season 1, not at the So Say We All. Is that true? Yeah. You're the one, I think, right?
I think what Jose is referring to is the pep talk was on the screen. The "So Say We All" moment wasn't written like that.
Exactly.
And the pep talk was a surprise to everyone.
Very much so.
And now you finish the story.
Basically, when we started this project, it was a labor of true love and understanding. The writing was superb. An incredible world. It was actually on paper, but when we brought it to life, it became even more. So when we did the So Say We All scene, that was the very first scene that we all did together in ever. That was the first scene that we shot. I think that morning, Callis, James, and Tricia had been working together doing all the love scenes.
No, you got this wrong.
Okay.
That was a whole week's work.
Oh, okay.
Where they made love for a week solid out on West Vancouver on the fjord. But your first day, sir, was the So Say We All Day, and it was the first day we all got together on the
Right.
same
There
sound
you go.
stage.
Right.
So
The
it was.
first time we all worked.
Yeah.
Have you worked before that?
I had.
Oh,
It wasn't a love scene.
oh, yours was.
No. It was an electromagnetic headbutt I had to do. Anyway, back to you. Stop deflecting.
So anyway, we ended up doing the scene, and of course, the director was very secure. He's very strong, very good, and I can always tell when someone's secure when you start to, suggest things and they accept that. He's secure enough to allow growth around him, and that to me is a real strong element of great people to work with, period. I don't care what you're doing. And so I suggest, he wanted me to be standing up there with the priestess, and I said, no, I want to be with everybody else, if that's all right with you. And I asked him, do you have, will your cameras move? And he says, oh, I got 4 cameras, and you can do whatever you want to do. I got you covered. I go, okay, thank you very much. That's all he had to say. And so I stood there, and the scene started, and that's when we never rehearsed the scene. We just did it, and it was the very first time we were doing it. And it was actually the scene that we used in the first take. And the reason was because of what it did to all of us. We all went to a level of understanding something without even talking about it. We didn't have to say a word. And what it was is that when I started and I got up there and I started to walk around and say the speech, and you guys remember it. And remember, for me, it was my very first day of working with everybody. Okay, I thought it was the very first day we actually were together, period. But I guess they had many scenes of sex and violence and stuff. How true that is. You have to ask James about what he was doing in the scene. And so when I did the scene and I came around and I said, so say we all, there was no sense of understanding. They, like me saying to you, I know, so say we all.
So say we all!
See, now you do it. They were more like, so say we all. You know,
It was just like a simple amen.
yeah,
So he said amen, and we said amen.
yeah.
And then he said
Amen.
a bit louder, and we were like, amen,
And I said, Amen.
amen.
And it built, and that building is what gave us what now has become an iconic moment in the story, where So Say We All became the essence, and it's being used today, everybody. You guys are all using it. You guys are using it, we're using it, and people are using it all over this world, really. And I'm very grateful that it was out there, and that we got a chance to do it. But it was improvisational as to the attitude and the way that we represented it. Everybody just jumped to the level of expectation and went higher. And that's what made the show. Literally, that moment in time made the show, united us, because that was the last scene of the miniseries. You know, it was like how we finished the game. And here we were shooting at the very beginning of the show. None of us had even worked together. I didn't know anybody, you know. And then the memorable time of everybody, the moment we all got into my trailer, and before we started the first scene, the first episode, right? 33. That's when that happened. Okay.
So I think we're all pretty grateful that, Edward took those choices, don't you? Come on. That scene set the tone for the entire show, I think so. So James, I hear, hi, how's it?
Hello. Hello. How are the acoustics for you guys here? Can you hear us?
Yes!
Okay, good.
Perfect. So I hear a little bit of jealousy, when talking about your scenes with Trisha, right? But I wanted to ask you, so head 6, right?
There are
Head
a lot
six.
of people who are really jealous of Trisha because she got to work with me. What can I say? I'm so sorry.
very, very much so. But I want to ask how did you balance, you know, the mixture between seriousness, strategy, a little bit of comedy, you know, with those interactions, right, that were basically just in your head?
I was pretty new to science fiction as a genre, but what I felt was that there was a certain kind of action that people had in science fiction shows where everybody knew what they were doing. Do you know what I mean? There was there didn't seem to be very much uncertainty.
Right.
And because of the dangerous nature of my character, or his lack of character, yeah, not too much. But yeah, so I wanted to bring to the genre, you know, a little bit of uncertainty. Like it would seem on Star Trek, everybody always knows where they're going, if it's the bridge or this place. So then, for me on Battlestar, I don't know what the Battlestar is. I don't know how to get from the lab to another place. So it was trying to throw in a mix of, I suppose, like a fish out of water, or somebody who doesn't know the right answer immediately. That they're not heroic, is because everybody around you is, and so through the uncertainty or like not knowing what was going to happen next, I think through that there's a lot of drama, there's a lot of humanity, there's comedy, but it comes from you're new on Battlestar, and to a degree, and also not militaristic like everybody else around you.
Makes
if
sense.
that answers the question.
Right. That's absolutely perfect. And I think we all enjoyed those, you know, quirky, yet tragic, yet very human moments, right? When, you know, Gaius Baltar had whole conversations with Head 6, and everybody else is just staring at him like, so, what's going on?
Yeah, we had a really funny moment with Richard Hatch when he got to do the scene with me and Trisha. And like most people, you know, you can't take your eyes off Trisha. Right. He kept on having to go to Richard going, you can't see that. You can't see that, we're going to stop it. It's like, it's very difficult.
So, Tamoh, speaking of not knowing what was going to happen, Helo, right? Famously, the character was not meant to make it nearly as far as it did, right, in the show. He was meant to be left on Caprica, right? And that was kind of going to be the end of it. But then, people wanted more, right? People wanted more of the character, and in no small part because of Tamoh, of course, and his interpretation of the character. So thank you for that, for sure. But I wanted to ask, you know, how soon did you actually know that they were going to bring you back, or that the story was going to continue for Helo?
It took a while. So as far as I was concerned, when I did the miniseries, that was it for me. Like
Okay.
And we shot, the last stuff that we shot was the epic stuff in the field, where we got the raptor and all the refugees were running towards us trying to get saved. And we had this epic, did we shoot that in Miami? Is that Miami? Do you remember where that was? Anyway, perfect location outside Vancouver, and it was just an incredible filming day. And Eddie was there, and I'd already signed on to another show. I was going to be regular on a Canadian cop series. Because as far as I was concerned, I wasn't doing that. I had a hero in it. That was actually, that scene was the scene that I auditioned for. So, to me, it was just a great role. And Michael Weinberg written me in to more scenes as we went on when we were doing this miniseries, when we shot together for like 3 months. So the part just kept getting better for me, but never was I sure that I was actually pretty sure that was it. I had the hero shot, I left on the planet, It blows up, there's a nuclear holocaust. Helo's a hero, and everybody dies. And everybody's patient. And they go back to Galactica, and everybody else, what's left of humanity, trying to survive and outstep the Cylons. But it's funny, I thought about this the other day. So Grace and I had that really powerful scene, you know, she's taking off the Raptor, she's got Gaius Baltar, she's got a handful of refugees, and, you know, doing the scene, they lifted actually I think it was our first AD who climbed up the ladder from him. He was a big fan of the hero shots coming out. Anyway, I felt amazing, it was such a powerful day. Grace and I, for a young actor, we had just like beautiful moments, the extras, everything was so real in that scene. And then I remember feeling, and again, not that I had a lot of experience to base it on, but I was like, this went really well. I know this went really well. This is beautiful day, this is powerful work, and I felt so satisfied. And Eddie came up to me and said, he pulled me aside and said, hey man, you did such a good job, we want to bring you back. And even though this was coming from literally like this iconic figure who was part of the reason that I even became an actor. And he's telling me this I took it and I received the compliment, and it was so wonderful to hear, but I in no way felt that was real. I thought he was just giving me a huge compliment and giving me a possibility, and I didn't put any weight on that. I really didn't, even though when I reflect back on it, he was being very sincere about it. But I didn't think that I was going on something else, and nobody else had told me that, none of the other showrunners, and in my head, the planet's being destroyed by nuclear holocaust. So it was almost a year later, or at least 6-7 months or something. No, it was a year, because there was how much time transpired between the miniseries and shooting the first? It was a year, right?
Almost
I had
18
enough time to do 10 episodes of a new comp show in Vancouver, and then go to my first pilot season, and then have a particularly bad week where I was like, what the hell am I doing? I can't do this. This is terrible. I need to go back to roofing. and Ron, my manager called and said, Ron Moore wanted to talk to me. And after that, I got the opportunity to come back.
That's amazing. Yeah, and are we glad? I'm sure the film industry missed, a great opportunity, but Battlestar Galactica is way different because of Helo really became kind of the heart of the fleet. Honestly, I mean, his character just, it was an incredible transformation, right, season to season. Speaking of transformations, Grace. Absolutely. So, you play, spoilers, by the way, you play Cylon, right? And not just one, but many, two that stuck with us for pretty much the entirety of the series, right? So, I want to ask you, how were you able to discern or put a barrier between what Athena and Boomer had to be, right? Because obviously they share many common things, and yet they had to be very different at the same time. So how was that? How would you approach that?
I think it was a lot. I mean, as actors, we're always meant to go into the shoes of different characters. So it's not like, on your regular day you would go do that unless you have this alter, like a hidden life. So we've had practice at it for a while, and I think that one of the easiest parts to differentiate the two is that one of the characters was on the planet with Helo, and it was really simple, the difference being out in the woods, but that was, it really helped to set the stage. And also I didn't have to start by trying to indicate how different they were and trying to show, what a good actor I was. I was just trying to stay on the show. and essentially she just had to pretend to be the other one. So there wasn't a lot to have to demonstrate. And through time, they went through quite significant differences, and I think it's like even when you think of someone in your life, either like a best friend or a cousin, you almost have a feeling of what they're like. And if I remember what, let's say, Boomer went through, there's like an echo or there's like a resonance of what that character is. And so that would just inform me. And just as much as you don't have to keep all of these people separate, like what does your best friend feel like, what your cousin feel like, there's just this automatic like grouping of characteristics and qualities that is that person. And their trajectories changed so much that it was easier to do. You know, and if they were like a lot more intimately woven, I would have been more finessing perhaps. But you know, even when I had the scene with them two together, I tried to really, this is the acting moment, I must really show how different they were. And then Michael Reimer just told me like, why are you making her a bitch? You know? I'm taken aback, like, oh, that was pretty rough, but okay. So then I didn't know what to do. And I thought I did nothing, but actually when I saw it, I'm like, oh, that's fine. So sometimes you have to, I don't think I realized that there was some level of embodiment that I was just naturally doing. And the characters were not us, but they were being written sometimes towards the characters that were kind of coming through us, not necessarily us as the human being, Grace or Jamie or Edward, but maybe there's like a combination of such. So yeah, it wasn't as hard as you think. It was easy. I think Trisha had it harder.
There you go. And she did an amazing job, didn't she? I mean,
Yes.
Come on. Those characters, incredible. Some of the heaviest scenes, in the show too, so, my hats off to you for pulling those up. And speaking of, the characters maybe not being exactly who you are, Jamie, Apollo, went through this chunkier phase in the show. How was, how did it change the physicality of your performance, right? Because now you got prosthetics, you can't exactly move the way you were. So, could you tell us a little bit about maybe some of the challenges of trying to act in all of that?
Well, I mean, first of all, I love the opportunity. It's very rare on or it certainly was then on a TV show where you take a risk with a principal character like that, and you dare to change him that much.
Right.
I mean, initially this was the change. At the first read, where we read this script, and there was a year's jump, and all the characters, famously, Ron designed it with Michael that the year's jump happened in the same shot, and a wrap around James's head, I believe. The year's jump happened in one shot as it wrapped around Baltar's head, and it came back, and in that year he'd become president, is that right? Yeah, he'd become president. All this crap is happening on Galactica. I got married, and this was the change. I went from Adama to Adama. It's literally a pair of glasses. And which has now happened to me, by the way. And then everyone was like, oh, it's a bit boring, Jamie doesn't get to do much, and Reimer came up with this thing, that he gets fat, because people who are happy and married and home cooking and not working out, and he's got fat. And I just loved it. He suggested this over the table. I went, yes, let's do that. And we did a test and 4 hours of makeup. But to answer your question, for me, I was always trying to push Lee into different directions. You might notice that. He did all the jobs available. Janitor one week and then president the next, via lawyer and various other things. The opportunity to explore him in a different physicality was just fun. And I'd never had facial prosthetics before, and Patricia Murray, our makeup artist, did them, and I was just in awe and wonder of, part of the joy of our world is the artifice as well as you try and create a reality, but, we're pretending, the sets aren't real, and it's just a wonderful thing if you see technicians do this magic in real plastic forms, no camera trickery, all real. But it was a challenge, because this thing would sit on my face. We were filming in summer, and you'd sweat, and she'd have to poke a comb, one of those sort of needle comb things in, so that the sweat could pour out of the side. And you could only shoot it at certain angles, because it would deteriorate over time. So there's a lot of stuff to negotiate, but really what I enjoyed doing is experimenting with a different side of this guy. What happens when he does chill out and relax and become sedentary? And I love the scenes with Ed when he's gone soft, he's gone fat. Yeah, it was great fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, not one to mince words, Admiral.
Listen, he's not too woke. He's not scared of fat shaming. I will say, so just the character. That is, this guy's the wokest. He's the wokest man I know. But the Admiral, not so woke.
Not so much. Yeah, exactly. So, question for all of you actually. We'll keep it light. Who of you still use the word frack in your daily life?
I do.
Look at those hands.
That's a perfect word.
Right?
It is a perfect word. You can use it every day. And you can use it and people don't get all upset. You know what I mean? It doesn't like, oh my God, I have to be speaking like that. No, that's a great word. I was so grateful when we came up with it. The frack. Frack you. That was Hogan's favorite line.
I'll say that I never use the word, but I have a son, and he went to this. He was in school, and he was pretty young, and they didn't really swear there very much. It was like a Waldorf school, but he came home one day and he had the word frack, and I was like, this is such a weird moment right now. That he's not swearing, but he's swearing. And also, he doesn't know where that word came from. That we were on. And I took mental note of it, and I think I might have said something to him, but of course, it's way over his head. He's never gonna, one day in the future, I'll probably tell him. But you guys get it, like how funny that would be.
That's awesome. The cast of Battlestar Galactica is famously, still very, very, very close to each other. You keep in touch with each other. You actually hang out with each other. Which is not necessarily the norm, right? Normally, again, and this is for everybody who wants to answer. Why do you think that is? Where do you think that sort of family bond came from?
Sitting next to him. Edward and Mary created an atmosphere on set where they were literally interested in us, all of us younger actors who were starting out. And they created this bond. They cared. These were Oscar nominees who were doing sci-fi for the Sci-Fi Channel in 2003 on basic cable. Like, other stuff was going on elsewhere. We were doing this hokey show that Eddie was determined wouldn't be a hokey show, and Mary was determined wouldn't be a hokey show. And so they cared, and they helped us, they nurtured us. Eddie watched every daily to terrify us, but gradually he let us know that we were good enough, and that was appreciated, thank you. And there are other elements too. I think being in Vancouver, we got 2 Vancouverites in the centre. James and I were there with our families in a strange city that we didn't know, and we were embraced and welcomed by the locals.
We were. Hello.
Yes. It's on.
They switched me off. I was going to say also, one of the first things was that we all got invited to our director's house, Michael Reimer. And Michael Reimer and Loretta would have initially these parties for all of us, so that we get to know each other, not just being on set, and not necessarily just talking about the work, although a large portion of the parties was talking about what we were going to be doing, how exciting it was, what that might engender going forwards. So I would say pretty early on we were connecting together socially. I don't think anybody could have known in the sense of the way we're all cast and we're all so different. But yeah, it is an unusual thing. It's like all the personalities, we like to be with each other. We realized that pretty early on. And we've had the advantage and opportunity it's like the greatest thing. People talk about this kind of a thing, and Eddie spoke about this as well, how unusual Battlestar was for you in your career as something that pulled all these people together 20 years later, it kind of, it speaks for itself. But yeah, I think it's fair to say we kind of love to see each other and love to hang out with each other.
And love to do awesome panels like this one, with each other, so keep it up for them.
Those 6 years were so formative. Like, James and Jamie had a family, Grace got married, like a lot happened during that time in Vancouver. And like James said and Jamie alluded to, like once we started breaking bread together, once we started having meals together and discussing the show, we were so into it and we loved each other's time and we really ran with that. And here you are, 20 some odd years later, we're still doing it as much as we can. It doesn't get old. I love these people. Yeah, I feel so incredibly blessed to be there.
And Aaron said, he's not here today, but Aaron, the chief, asked us, at dinner after a different con, why do you think, we've all been on many shows, like, why do you think this show? And maybe you guys understand, or I'm not sure how you take this, but I said, this is not our first time around. He just kind of looked at me and he's like, what do you mean? And of course I said the line from the show, this has all happened before and this will happen again, and then he walked away from the table, but with his head on his hands. But at the same time, it's like, I think there is a soul connection, and yes, we had amazing, generous leaders that it couldn't have happened the same way, but somehow this group of people was meant to come together, and yes, we broke bread, and that hugely helped. But I think there was like a kindred sense within us all, because if you look at us, we're not, like, we get along, but we're not all the same. We're quite different. And I love how different everyone is and how unique. And recently I've been telling them all, like, how just cripplingly insecure I was back then. But at the same time, like, none of them really care. It's like, it didn't matter however I was, like, we were just going to accept each other. And I feel really blessed. And I was even thinking that, like, compared to my own family, of course, our families are loving and stuff, but I'm like, I feel like this is more my family somehow, in this, like, odd way.
Can I add to that? A friend of mine just said there's you've got your family, there's your bio family, and then there's your logical family. Biological. You need to split them up. You're like the logical family.
I love it. So, we got the last 10 minutes here of the panel. We are going to jump into some fan questions, all right? And these are pretty easy, don't worry. We're going to keep it light. Okay, so first one from Rowena. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Grace, how did you react when you found out your character was a Cylon?
I was definitely confused. I thought there was a mistake, because I didn't realize that she was a Cylon either. And then I thought later that somehow I felt like bad that they made my character a Cylon, because somehow they had no other choice. Very confused young actor.
Right.
I'm very grateful.
Okay, so for James, how difficult was it to film the scene with you talking with Gata with 6 all over you? Did it take many takes? This comes from you.
So I remember, I think that you're referring to a scene in the mini-series, and we hadn't, that was really, it was difficult to film because it was the first time really Head 6 had appeared. I had done my, kissing scenes in the house. Don't try it at home. Don't get hurt. But yeah, then when we were doing the thing on the bridge, it was very difficult tone to find, to be honest, because like the whole world's been blown up, and we were also experimenting with how number 6 was going to come in and out of the scene, which was a lot of Trisha hiding behind chairs, and not as glamorous as it looks. And I do remember a point where it was so ludicrous, honestly. You've got Alessandro being very natural, very open. He's like, listen, Dr. Baltar, I've been a huge fan of yours for years. Meanwhile, me knowing that I'm complicit in something totally terrible. And then I've got Trisha behind him doing like, making a face going, are they going to use this? It's quite a serious moment. So yeah, it was actually quite difficult that first time to try and find it all.
Absolutely. And I think you did an amazing job. What do you guys think? Okay, so here we go. This is for everybody. So, if you can change one thing about your character story, what would it be? You can't say not being fat.
Change one here?
Just change one thing about your character.
I think that's an easy one. I've spoken on this before. I would have liked the opportunity to work more with some of my other cast members. I loved everything I did. It was incredible, but I barely got to share the screen with this man.
Right.
The miniseries, and then that was basically it. We had a couple quick scenes after that. I just would have, yeah, it would have been nice. We had such a big cast too. I mean, just, yeah, if there's one thing I could change, it probably would be that.
Interesting.
The one thing I would say that I would like to change is working with Baltar. Working with Baltar was very difficult. Extremely difficult. I like James. He's Baltar. I hate him. And the difficult part about it was that this is not a joke, okay? We could not shoot scenes with Michael Hogan, myself, and even Mary. We're the old guard, the old men that have been doing this a long time by the first time we started to work together. But James with Baltar was just unbelievably hysterical to work with. A very difficult person to work with because he was so funny. And we could not get through the scenes. I mean, the director and the producers, they got pissed, they got angry. They said, okay, would you guys just calm down? And first they try to be nice. Oh, great, that's great, okay. Take 72, ready? Okay, and action. On the floor. And he like, he's not doing anything. And by not doing anything and playing that character the way he played it, it was just very difficult to work with him. I didn't like it.
It was this thing that, I'm with you, you're pretty serious person, serious in the show, very serious. I'm with Michael Hogan, also very serious.
Very serious.
And the humor actually came out of me also trying to look serious. I'm also really serious. It was funny.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant, and very, very much an understanding and really being. He was incredible to work with. I mean, just extraordinary acting on everybody's part. I mean, I wasn't trying to be nice to the young actors. I wasn't trying to be, I'll motivate them so that they'll, rise to the level of higher expectation.
You were terrifying.
But when I would compliment them and when I would talk to them, it was from the heart and soul. I said, I found this group to be the strongest acting force I've been involved with. Only because one, material, story was everything. And two, the way that they all performed. Because many of them, it was like their first job. Major piece of work. Not that they hadn't done stuff. They hadn't done, guest star lead here or guest doing television shows, episodic TV. But this was not episodic television. This was way, way, way beyond that. This is the documentation of human behavior inside of a situation that ended up becoming a reality which we are facing right now in 2025. And that's why It's difficult. This is a very difficult reality with this. And I was talking to some people today. I was writing something for them on a photo, and they were standing there and talking to me. And I said to them, "Listen, you have to hold on to the hope, because this is just starting. It's going to go south real fast and real hard, because I don't know if I'm going to have another election. You know, I think that it's going to be, we're going to call martial law and say that it's impossible right now because there's so much divisiveness and there's so much corruption in the voting systems that, I'm sorry, but right now we're not going to hold a vote. And it's like, we're not going to be able to vote. And everybody's sitting here going, oh, Jesus, hey, can't you get a little lighter? Do we have to go there? Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Just like we're doing. Please go back and rewatch the series and memorize the understandings that you get when you're watching truths that have come out in that show, because it's right now there are 1 billion robots being created by Elon Musk, and I've seen them. They pick food from the fields, they wash windows, they take care of children, they do secretarial work. It's 1 billion robots that don't cost you a penny once you buy them. You don't have to give overtime, you don't have to, you have to do anything to robots, and you can do whatever you want. You own them, okay? And so it's here. It's not coming. It's here. And I saw when I was in Japan last month, and as I was there, I was watching Japanese television, and I couldn't understand what they were saying, of course. But I was watching this, and all of a sudden I saw this man sitting, talking to this other guy, and he felt there was something about him, and his confidence, and the way he was talking. And the camera went from him, and it slowly kept moving, and as it kept moving, right next to him was him. And I thought it was like almost like a mirror, like a reflection. And I'm just trying to figure out, what is this guy a twin? And identical, okay? And he had created it himself. Robot that looked exactly human. It looked like, like the Cylons. They were human. I'm not kidding, and I didn't know what they were saying, but I could tell. Then they would shoot into his laboratory, and you would see how they were training them and how they were doing the work. They're very advanced. Their technology is very, very strong, very advanced. So it's here now, and with the advent of AI is one thing, but AGI is more. But they're now getting to the point of knowing that we're getting into ASI. ASI is the end, beginning of the end, because they won't be able to interrelate with themselves without anyone human getting involved with anything. They'll be able to do everything that we do, and communication and understanding of themselves, and they can rationalize, they can create, they can do. ASI is superior intellect, artificial superior intellect. So, to me, we have a responsibility that have gone through the experience of Battlestar and got to the end and realized that the only thing that really saved us was reconciliation with ourselves. That's why we're alive today. In that world, the only reason we were alive was because we reconciled. And the Cylons and the humans got together and they were able to work together, and both existed in this universe. So for me, we're in for a hell of a ride. Just don't lose the hope. Stay strong. So say we all. 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 So say we all.
Let's give it up for I just want to say on a personal note, thank you to all of our guests today for, like Edward was mentioning, for taking this show seriously, for putting all your heart, all your effort into it, making it one of the absolute best shows in general, let alone a sci-fi show that we've gotten ever, okay? So thank you to all of our guests, thank you to you, the fans, for showing up even 20 years later. So give it up for yourselves, guys. Thank you again. This amazing, amazing panel. I am your host, Jose. I'll catch you next one.
Let's go, James. Dale, papá.